The Smoky Mountains had always carried a strange pull for Emily Carter, a 27-year-old travel photographer known for chasing forgotten folklore across America, but nothing had prepared her for the night she stepped into the heart of the Smokies to uncover the truth behind the region's most feared legends. She arrived in the small mountain town of Alders Ridge during the final days of October, when fog clung to the cabins like a second skin, and the locals refused to stay outdoors past dusk. Emily had heard rumors of a creature locals called the Hollowed One, a figure said to walk the tree line at night, long, thin, faceless, and drawn to anyone who dared enter the forest after dark. The town sheriff, an older man named Harlan Tate, warned her kindly but firmly that the stories were not meant for outsiders. Whatever you're chasing, he told her, make sure it's worth what it takes from you. Emily thought he meant danger, but she later understood he meant pieces of oneself. Memories, sanity, and something more primal. On her first evening, she wandered out to the forest's edge to photograph the lingering blue haze that gave the Smokies their name. The trees were still, too still, as if the forest were holding its breath. She snapped a photo and froze when she saw, through her lens, a tall, emaciated silhouette standing between two pines, its head slowly tilting as though listening. When she lowered the camera, the shape was gone. She assumed it was a tree stump. But when she looked again through the lens, the figure was closer, its limbs impossibly long, twisted like wet branches. There was no face, just a smooth, pale surface reflecting the faint moonlight. A cold pressure tightened in her chest, her instincts screaming to run, yet she felt rooted to the earth. Only when she blinked did the figure suddenly vanish, leaving only trembling leaves behind. Emily convinced herself it was exhaustion and returned to her rented cabin, but sleep refused to come. Around 3 a.m., she woke to the sound of footsteps circling her cabin, slow, dragging, almost curious. She held her breath as long shadows spilled through the gaps in the curtains. Something was standing on the porch. Something breathing with a low, hollow rasp like air moving through an empty cave. Emily clutched her camera as the footsteps stopped directly outside her door. Silence fell. Then, a soft tapping, gentle yet deliberate. Tap, 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 as though the creature were feeling for the seams of the wood, seeking a way in. She waited until the first light of dawn filtered in before daring to open the door. There in the dirt lay long, narrow impressions leading back into the forest, like clawless prints dragged deep into the soil. Determined to uncover the truth, she hiked deeper the next day, following a trail that locals avoided. The deeper she walked, the quieter the forest became. No birds, no insects, no wind, just a suffocating stillness that pressed against her ribs. Then she found something she hadn't expected, an old campsite long abandoned. Ashes from a fire were scattered, a torn backpack lay half-buried, and deep gouges marked the surrounding trees. A journal sat beside a rotting log, untouched by weather. Its pages were filled with frantic handwriting describing a creature that watched from the fog, mimicking human shapes, voices, and even memories to lure people deeper into the woods. The final entry read, "It wants faces. It wants mine. It wants yours." As Emily flipped the page, the forest behind her rustled with soft, deliberate movement. She turned slowly. The figure stood only 20 feet away, taller than before, its body stretched unnaturally thin, its limbs trembling with anticipation. There was no wind, yet the creature's presence stirred the leaves like a breath. Emily lifted her camera instinctively and snapped a photo. The flash illuminated the horror. The creature was not faceless now. Its surface had begun forming the faint outlines of human features, like clay being molded. Features that looked strangely similar to hers. She stumbled back, but the creature moved without moving. One moment far, the next almost at her side, each shift accompanied by a deep, bone-vibrating hum that made her vision blur. Emily ran. Branches whipped her face, roots tore at her boots, and the forest around her shifted unnaturally, as though the creature bent the world to trap her. She felt breath, cold, hollow, brush the back of her neck. When she burst into a clearing, she found an old wooden church, its steeple crooked, and its doors hanging open. Inside, dozens of old photographs were pinned to the walls, missing hikers, campers, loggers, everyone with their face blurred, wiped clean as if erased by something that wanted their identity. The floorboards creaked. Emily spun around and saw the creature standing in the doorway, blocking her only exit. It no longer looked like a blank figure. Its face, now nearly identical to hers, stared back, twisted and lopsided like a broken reflection. It opened its mouth, but instead of a voice, a low, distorted imitation of her own breathing filled the room. Emily raised her camera in a final act of defiance and flashed it again. The creature screeched, its stolen features melting like wax. She seized the moment to escape, sprinting into the trees until her lungs burned and her legs went numb. Somehow, she never remembered how, she stumbled back to Alder's Ridge. Sheriff Harlan found her collapsed near the road, her clothes torn and her eyes filled with terror. When she tried to explain, he simply shook his head. Now you understand why we don't wander after dark. Emily left the Smoky Mountains the next morning, but the nightmare followed her home. At night, she began hearing footsteps outside her apartment, slow, dragging, familiar. And one evening, while reviewing her photographs, she noticed something chilling. In every image she took after returning from the mountains, there was a faint, tall silhouette in the background, each one closer than the last. The final photo she had snapped in the Smokies showed the creature fully formed, wearing her face. And behind it, barely visible in the fog, were dozens of other figures, faceless, hollow, twisted, waiting for their turn. Emily realized too late that some legends do not stay in the mountains. Some follow you home. Some remember your face. And some want it for their own.